the same as we've been getting. We live on the river, both of us, neighbors, and making sure that we're good stewards of the river, making sure that we're maintaining our part of it, and watching to see that everybody upriver is maintaining their part too.
All environmental work is education, because if you don't educate people about the resources, and if they don't understand the resources, they won't buy into its protection.
There's a big demand on water as drinking water. There are several public water supplies, but most people are on well water within the watershed. But the water in the groundwater and the water in the river are interconnected.
Water is literally our lifeblood. You know, we can find different kinds of energy, but I don't know anybody who's discovered how to make more water. And I think it's very important because there's so much development, housing development has gone along the Lamprey. And some of the towns are using the Lamprey as their water supply.
I think we're very privileged to live in New England because as of yet, water isn't a problem like it is out west, but it's one of our most valuable resources. And it will be a problem in the future, and we have to be real watchdogs about it and think about how we're developing on it and what we're doing with it, because it's our drinking water, it's our future.
New housing developments, enormous ones. I mean, within a quarter mile of here, 260 house sites have been permitted. There is a connection between the dug well, which gets the groundwater, and the river. And I don't think enough long-term studies has been done to see whether in 10 or 20 or 30 years, the wells of all these new houses and their septic systems will no longer work. And that's going to be a major problem.
I would say that if things continue on this trajectory, the future of this river and Great Bay is really what we're seeing in the Chesapeake, system, where you have massive algal blooms, loss of fisheries, like catastrophic losses of our ecosystem. That really, we don't want to let this system reach that point. I'd like to see us make some changes now before we're at a point of no return, or this tipping point where there's no way to really get the river recovered.
While it's true that everybody in the watershed has a role to play, the most important people can be those that live right next to the river. That riparian habitat, what's right next to the stream, is so important for the health of the river, because those are our buffers. If anything is coming towards the river that the buffer can catch and purify before it reaches the river, it can do that. If it's healthy, if it has its natural vegetation, if it has plenty of feet of natural vegetation, the trees, the shrubs, the plants that all grow there all help with that. It helps to keep the bank stable.
We don't take out any trees, and we believe in keeping the sort of wooded natural feel of the land to enjoy from the view from our house.
When we first came here, we were stunned by the beauty of it. It was a really pretty place. And when we built a house here, we made sure that we didn't change anything close to the river, and we wanted to keep the river as it was.
Our landowners along the river play an extremely important role in that. And those that have chosen to do a conservation easement have made a great contribution to the health of the river. Landowners like Isabel Park, who serves on the Watershed Association board. She lives in Epping, and she has a blueberry farm, and she's a timberland owner, and she considers herself a steward of the land.
When I'm doing any kind of forestry work, it's very important to make sure that the equipment moving over the land doesn't in any way harm the streams. And also, from my forestry plan, it always takes great care not to cut down trees too close to the wetland or the swamp, because if you cut the trees, then the rain will wash the soil into the stream.
The Clarks, he and his wife, took a piece of their property, 70 acres, with 4,000 linear feet on the river, and permanently protected with a conservation easement.
first and foremost is that we like people to appreciate nature, and so the only way they're going to be able to do that is to experience it. And so having this land set aside for that purpose is well worthwhile. And we only, you know, we rent it. We own it, but we rent it for a period of time, and then we pass it on, and just like to pass it on in the more natural state.
Recreation on the river is very popular. There's lots of canoeists and kayakers, swimmers. There's many swimming holes along the way. The Epping Conservation Commission has sponsored a canoe race every April. That's a historical thing.
It's great for the environment. It brings people to the river and see how the beauty of it. And it's just a wonderful event. And people come, they have a great time.
And it's just such a nice way to connect with nature and just some fun camaraderie, and you know, you got your Tootsie Pops, you got some beverages, and what a great way to spend the day. It's perfect. Okay, beans and weenies. I think it's important, this is the next generation, that we share that with kids, especially in today's world, and we're getting out in nature, we're having some fun, making some real memories, and then hopefully they'll share that with their kids. We can pass that on.
It's an important part of our heritage in this town. And it's an important part of bringing people together. And it separates the town, but at the same time it brings them together.
There's lots of opportunities for recreation on the river. Fishermen love this river, and there's a good trout population and many, many secret fishing holes along the way. So it's very popular from a recreational standpoint.
I just really enjoy nature. I really enjoy being outside and enjoying, you know, hiking along the river or kayaking. And I really think that water quality is important. I mean, it's something we need as humans. You know, we drink water. Water is it's imperative that we have a clean water supply. So I think it supports a lot of very important things. You know, it supports us as humans. It supports the wildlife. It supports all the fish, and I think it's really important to protect that resource, you know, for us, for our kids, for our grandkids. I think that's something that I'm just passionate about.
What's going to happen to it down the road? Hopefully, with its protection, people will understand it. It can be used as an outdoor classroom. People paddle by and say, gee, isn't that great? There's no houses all along this stretch of the river.
I think there is this general, you know, misconception out there that, you know, well, just, you know, if I make a change, it's not really going to matter, and, you know, my little household has no impact on the river. And I think that would, you know, it's the cumulative effect of all of our individual decisions that really impact the river.
There's so much to be done, and people can get involved in a variety of ways, but we have issues. If they haven't hit us this year, they might hit us next year. It could be drought, it could be floods, you never know. And we've had the 3 highest amounts of flow from the Lamprey River 3 out of the last 5 years of historical record. We have to be prepared for these more extreme climate events. So this is why towns should be thinking about a water management plan to be prepared for these events. We look ahead to the future. We plan what our growth will be. We plan how we'll use our natural resources and how we'll allow the natural resources to protect us if we've allowed them to function in the way that they are supposed to function. We always hope that more people love and appreciate the river. The more they know, the more they're going to love it and use it and take care of it, because it's a resource that's important to all of us. And all of the towns that the river threads its way through have a role to play. It's a very complex system. It all has to be in some kind of a balance for it to stay healthy and be sustainable for a long period of time.
What we do now to preserve and possibly improve the quality and the quantity, that's something that we can hand on to our children and our grandchildren. You know, we talk a lot about the debts we're going to put on them, but this is, if we work together on Lamprey, this is a way of paying forward.